This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with guitarist Will Evankovich of the progressive rock act STYX. STYX recently released their latest album, Circling from Above. It's your 18th studio album. The release was a little bit different. On May 28th, the kickoff of your Brotherhood of Rock tour, you announced that the album was done. It's ready. You can order it now through our website, vinyl, CD, and then it would be streaming later. I wanted to know a little bit about the band's decision in releasing it in such a manner.
Well, these days, I think the challenges of selling physical product is obviously a thing with streaming services being what they are. There are a lot of people that love vinyl and still purchase CDs, so we wanted to give them the opportunity to purchase it first exclusively through the websites, various websites, including our own and Universal. So it actually did very well because of that. So I thought it was advantageous to this plan. It seemed to work. We seemed to sell several thousand copies in the first 4 weeks. So whatever the plan was with the rollout, it seemed to work.
And streaming is sort of a necessary evil for musicians these days. You know, it kind of for a working band, it kind of cuts into the profits of, and that's why you kind of need the physical media to still be alive, right?
Yeah, it does. And this is the age we live in, so you can't. There's really nothing you can do about it. But we get creative and inventive in how to still cater to the people that do, want to buy physical product, and we do, and we're, grateful for the streams as well. So, whatever way people need to hear the music is fine with us.
Now, STYX has had a storied career, more than 50 years, and as I mentioned, 18th studio album. The band could rest easy on the back catalog, play the hit circuit for the rest of their career. What inspires you and STYX to keep creating new music?
I think once a songwriter, always a songwriter. And obviously, we have some very talented writers and creators in the band. And, we've always got songs going through our head. And I think it's the life force and the vitality of a band to stay creative. It gives the band a shot in the arm. It gives everybody something to work towards and something to be proud of and play live. I think it's just a good thing all around, and we've been very proud of the last few albums that we've made, and with great contributions from everybody. So,
Is Circling from Above a concept record? According to the PR materials, it navigates the complexities of the human experience through the intersecting lens of technology and nature.
yeah, no, yes and no. I mean, the first two songs end up threading together, circling from above into build and destroy, and they reflect that techno man versus technology and all the changes that are going on. And so thematically, we decided to make the cover reflect that, and those things. It's kind of the mantra of the record, but it doesn't. The rest of the songs don't necessarily carry the thread of that. They have their own autonomy as far as themes go. So no, I wouldn't call it a concept record, but it does have a theme, so to speak.
Now, to me, listening to the album, it's a little more on the progressive side, a little more chill, and maybe a less hard rock. Was that something? Was that a conscious decision or that happened organically?
Happened organically. I think we try to do something a little different every record. If the atmosphere and the vibe of a collection of songs and created in a few years' time is that such that thing, then we just kind of roll with it. I mean, we don't. I think it would be disingenuous to try to do like we're going to do a hard rock song or we're going to, I think whatever's naturally comes out of the writers at that time is what I think everybody's feeling. So I think it's very honest. If I there some of it may seem a little down tempo. I think that still has a lot of the rock songs on it. Fairly. I guess if you're looking for like a more of a rocker from the old catalog like Miss America or something, that may not be reflected there, but other rock, elements are. So, It's never a conscious thing. We just kind of do what we do.
I felt a lot of a Beatles influence on this one versus say something like Miss America.
Right, right. And different albums like The Mission, we had songs like Gone, 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 and other albums have more of that kind of just straight up unapologetic rocker stuff. If it's not there, I mean, it's just not there. We love the Beatles, we love Queen, we love Pink Floyd, we love those and the Who. You'll find elements of those in there. And who knows what's in store for the next album? Maybe there's more of that. It's just kind of where we're at the time, really.
Well, let's talk about some of the singles that you've released. You already mentioned the album's title track, Circling from Above. This one was actually spawned from a conversation about space debris.
Yeah, Tommy came in. I was working on something, and then we both jumped in on the music and created this really interesting piece, which was Circling from Above. And he came in and he said, "You ever look at the Skyview app and see all of the space debris up there, the abandoned rocket boosters and satellites and all there's just a myriad of junk up there, like tons. And you look at it, each one has a stamp, 1961 booster from a Russian rocket." All this debris, and it's kind of collecting and just spiraling up there like a graveyard. And I guess it represents, man's at one time man's ambitions. That was somebody's project. They put their love and their energy into it, and now it's just kind of space debris up there in the forgotten wasteland. And so that spawned the lyrics of the song. We just started hashing out the wasteland in the sky, open up your eyes. It's a labyrinth in your mind. Those things. So that's kind of abandoned technology. That's the man's once ambitious role to get further into space. So
Another song that you have out is Forgive, which is a pretty deep song if you really get into it, where, there's forgiving and then there's, does the subconscious really forgive or does it hold on to the pain?
right, exactly, you nailed it. We all say we forgive, but do we really truly forgive anybody? I mean, sometimes there's something that we carry for years on end, and I think when Lawrence and I were working on the words to that, we both had examples of lingering relationships that are unresolved, and so that was ultimately it. It can be relationships with men and women. It could be your friends, whatever it is. There's sometimes these things that go on for years unresolved. So to the day that it's true is I'll forgive you to the day that it actually happens.
Another song you have out is Build and Destroy. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what inspired that song?
Again, thematically, I think Circling from Above had been written before that song. And so when Lawrence, Tommy, and I got in the room to hash it out, it was almost a continuation on it. Again, the man's ambitions. You could take someone like Steve Jobs, who creates all these things, and I didn't know if it was true or not, but at the end of his days, when he was dying of cancer, there was this manifesto that said, it's not really about all these things; it's about human relationships. And so we spend all this time building all these things, but really it's about our interpersonal relationships along the way. That's kind of the mantra of Build and Destroy.
There's now, well, there's always has been a lot of members of STYX. There's 7 members in STYX. How does the songwriting come together with so many ideas coming through?
Well, we have at the time there's a lot of great. Terry's a new addition, and he's a great writer in his own right. But he had kind of joined right as the record was being finished. He tracked it, and But we have a lot of great input. Todd's an amazing musician, and he has a lot of creative input. But really, the songwriting is Lawrence Gowan, myself, and Tommy, and it sometimes is a couple of us with a song. Sometimes it's the three of us. Sometimes it's just one of us, but we all try to make our songs better. The way Lennon McCartney probably worked. They say that all songs are penned by both of them, but one of them probably did a lot of it, and the other one came in and helped them flush it out. And that's what we do for each other. And then there's just some songwriting where we've got a verse and a chorus, hey, how about this bridge? I got this bridge over here, and we just throw it all together, and it works very well. We've been doing that since 2014, before the mission.
And as the producer of the last three albums or so, it's your job to kind of bring it all together and make it make sense, right?
That's it. They've haphazardly entrusted me with the role of putting the stamp on it at the end, but I think we've come out with some good stuff.
You're still kind of the new guy, kind of the new guy. Is it tough telling someone like Tommy or JY that this section isn't going to work, these lyrics aren't really working out, to kind of direct them like that?
No, it would be if I didn't earn their trust a long time ago. Tommy and I started writing songs around 2010 or 9, 2010, when I was working on his bluegrass record, The Great Divide. I co-produced that with Brad Davis, and that's when Tommy and I really started to forge a writing relationship and realize we could net some very interesting songs. It's just the school of time and experience. If you spend enough time with someone, the mutual trust is earned. And then when I met the rest of the guys at first, it's like, who's this guy? You have a who's the interloper, and when you make, I guess, some solid calls on the way things are going, they start to trust you. So over the course of years, everybody has a trust in me, and I have a trust in them, and we none of it is nefarious. We just want the best thing. So I'm very honored to have those guys as trust because they're such amazing musicians and artists, and I think that's how it's worked out for the last 5 or 6 years.
Is it difficult putting an album together when Styx seems to tour so much?
Time is definitely an issue. We do 100 shows a year. That means we're on the road about 150 days of that year. So that's why it takes us 4 years to make a record. If we didn't have the schedule we had, we could knock one out in probably a month. I mean, there's a lot of creative people in the band. It's just, we find the pockets of time. If there's a couple weeks off here, or, hey, do you want to work on this? And then we schedule things and we get that going. But it can slow the process down, and that's why you've probably seen a release every 4 years for us because But we're very grateful for the touring schedule. It's amazing. We get to have the best of both worlds, really.
You're actually currently out on tour on the Brotherhood of Rock tour. That's winding down, should be concluding at the end of the summer. You're out there with the Kevin Cronin Band and special guest Don Felder. How's it been going so far for you?
It's great. I mean, those guys have every act on the bill is just got an amazing catalog of classic music, and they play it at really high level. And so it's a joy every night to hear all of the Eagles songs and all of the REO Speedwagon songs. We all get along great with one another. So it's just been a lot of fun, and we've got three more left, I think, till it's all over, starting tonight.
I know sometimes performing can get a little mechanical, but has there been any standout shows for you on this run?
I mean, it's funny. Towards the end here, we're kind of playing some of the best venues as far as we get great attendance. They're great crowds. We played in Cleveland last night or the night before last. We played in Cincinnati. We're playing in St. Louis tonight. These are all great markets for classic rock, and I love Guilford up in Maine. That's just a wonderful venue. Most of them are all great. All these markets are amazing, but I think you start getting into the Midwest, and there's just this real big turnout of people that come.
Absolutely. Styx is playing the Grand Illusion in its entirety. Were there any challenges in tackling this album live? I'm sure songs like Man in the Wilderness and Castle Walls haven't been played too often live.
Things like the grand finale and Castle Walls. That was the first time I played those songs. We sneak in Man in the Wilderness on and off, and it's my personal favorite from the record. It's just such an emotional song, and but yeah, it's a lot of fun to play that record from start to finish. The first side is kind of like a party, and the second side is very introspective, and it's kind of heavy, and it's great to go through those motions with the album.
How much of the newer Styx material are you able to work into the set? And when I say newer material, we'll say the Ivankovich trilogy, The Mission, Crash of the Crown, and Circle from Above.
Um, well, with this tour, we had advertised and planned for the Grand Illusion sometime back in last October. So what we have to do is play that album, play all the hits, and then see what kind of time we have left for new material. Usually, when we release a record, playing about 3 songs mixed in with the hits. By virtue of playing the Grand Illusion, we had to kind of whittle it down to playing Build and Destroy live, which we've done on this tour. Uh, this fall, we'll be playing more of the new record songs mixed with all of the hits as well.
So is the fall tour just a Styx headlining thing, or are there going to be others joining you?
I believe we have, I believe there's something in the works for mid-fall with someone that's a small package run. I don't know if it's been announced, so I'm not going to say it yet. But and then we do a series of our own shows with just an evening with Styx this fall. And we're
Right.
playing Miramar Beach, which is this big festival event that we're putting on, which is great in October.
So tell me a little bit about that festival event because I didn't come across that.
It's 3 nights of all of our friends, anywhere from John Waite to 38 Special, Cheap Trick, a lot of great bands. And we play 2 of the 3 nights, the first night and the last night. And there's a myriad of events. It's a beach festival, so there's yoga parties and cigar bars and all these great things that people can enjoy all day long and through the evening, along with a bunch of great classic rock. Lawrence Gowan, his band is playing as well. Collective Soul, I think. Just a lot of Loverboy, a lot of great bands.
Is Styx primarily focusing on the U.S. market? Are you guys going to be heading over to Europe anytime soon?
There's talk of it. We'd like to get over there. It's always on the table. We'd love to go play the Palladium. We'd love to go play UK and Germany and many of those other places. We'll see what happens there. Probably go to Canada. So we're just next year's a whole new ball game.
Has there ever been talk within the Styx camp of continuing the band without any original members in the future, kind of like Foreigner does?
No talk of that. I mean, we have 3 of the 5 original guys who are happy to be out here. Everyone's in great health. We love what we do. That's a conversation, one, that I probably can't speak to, and two, that I can't see that right now because everything's so great, and we're so grateful to have everyone.
Exactly. You've been an official member of Styx since 2021, but you worked with them in the studio for years prior. How did the offer come about to officially join Styx?
Post-COVID, I think everybody was just in the process of getting their bearings back, and the guys thought it was a good idea since I had, been so involved with producing the records and working and performing on the records that they thought it'd be a natural fit to have me just come in and support and help the band come back after the long break of COVID. And that turned into a great thing working out with me playing with them and supporting them. And, there's especially with the new material, there's lots of other production to be filled out and rounded with. And then I try to do my best to support the older catalog. And I think it makes the sound just a little bigger. So
You were actually splitting your time between Styx and Canadian rock band The Guess Who at one point, correct?
I was a full-time member of the Guess Who for almost 8 years, and we made a record, and that was great. I played my last show, I think, the COVID, right before COVID. And I was working on the Styx records with them. I would play a handful of the Mission shows when we would play the Mission in its entirety, so I wasn't unfamiliar with playing with the band live. And then, then COVID happened and it changed everything. So,
Well, you said earlier, a songwriter's always a songwriter. You're kind of the guy that's sort of the legacy band whisperer because the Guess Who wasn't really putting out too many albums before you joined them, and Styx was kind of, not really putting out as much as they used to until you joined.
They had a hiatus for a minute because after Cyclorama, the record industry had kind of changed. It wasn't very hospitable. No one knew what to do. No one knew if I make a new record, is anyone going to buy it? It didn't mean though that the songwriters like Lawrence and Tommy were creatively devoid. They were writing music all the time. It just they didn't know what the next move was. So when I came along and I had song ideas myself and everything else, it just seemed like the right time to start up the car again, you know. But yeah, you know, I grew up listening to these amazing albums, and that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. Like I want to make these great records, you know.
What was your first big gig in the industry, would you say? Like, what was kind of your
First big
starting point with like a mainstream act or whether it's producing or performing with?
Well, I had done different things. I worked with Peter Cornell, Chris Cornell's brother, in a band called Grace in the '90s, and we had some success, some radio play. I had done my own bands all the way up until that point, and then you know I worked on. I was in the Green Day American Idiot Broadway performance in the East or the West Coast when it started, and and then you know the break would be Shaw Blades that really broke into the classic rock thing when I worked with Jack and Tommy in 2006, and that parlayed into a lot of other opportunities like the Guess Who, and then I played a lot of these events with all these other different classic rock artists, and it I'd say you know the big break was probably around then 2005 where I finally got into that universe.
And you've worked with Tommy Shaw and you work with Jack Blades, and I saw that you work with Ted Nugent. You gotta light a fire to get a damn Yankees reunion going.
Well, that's totally out of my wheelhouse, but that's you know those guys can figure that one out. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the band. They're great.
Are you working with any other artists in your downtime from Styx?
Well, unfortunately, since well, not it's fortunately and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of downtime. So the time that we do have, I'm trying not to have my wife divorce me from being gone so long, and then I'm trying to work on new music and write new songs that eventually parlay into maybe new Styx material or whatever else. At this point, I'm open to doing some stuff on my own or whatever. But you know, it's much better with a band. So
I would imagine so. Well, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new Styx album, Circling from Above, is out now through Alpha Dog, 2T, and Universal. And you're currently out on tour, and it seems like you're going to go through the rest of the year. And I want to thank you for taking the time to tell me more about the album and what's going on with Styx.